Chapter 001, Valeria's Point of View. The urgent tone in my mom's voice echoed through my thoughts as she warned me, "Valeria, honey, we're gonna be late." With my outfit nearly complete, I replied before adding the final touches to my dress. As I looked into the mirror, my reflection appeared with an undercurrent of nerves mixed with predominant excitement. The navy A-line dress that reached my knees turned out to be the perfect choice for tonight. The simple nude heels completed my look, and my purse matched their style. My cascading dark hair fell to my shoulders, but I swiftly pulled it to one side near my neck before checking my reflection again. Almost perfect. Celine, my wolf, suggested a little more makeup. I chuckled, even though she wasn't wrong. Celine existed beyond being a voice inside my head because she represented my wolf, and together we made a complete unit. The moon goddess picked Celine's name, and Celine believed it wasn't by chance. She insisted the goddess gave her the name after Artemis, who was the Greek moon goddess. I shook my head with a smile. Werewolves are the offspring of the moon goddess who possess the ability to transform between human and wolf form. Our birth was accompanied by enhanced sensory abilities, including touch, sight, hearing, smell, and taste, along with strength, speed, and healing. Those were the basics. Grabbing my mascara, I whispered, "Let's apply some makeup before we start." Celine was right, though. Werewolves possessed varying abilities, and certain individuals were born with uncommon skills. We possess special skills such as healing abilities, mind control powers, future sight capabilities, and scent masking techniques. The strength of our connection to our wolves determined how powerful our abilities became. The moon goddess ensured her memory lived on by establishing the moon in the sky. The full moon allowed us to transform into wolves at any moment and location. Our power to transform freely started after our first change happened around our 18th birthday. Previously, our ability to shift wasn't guaranteed, but we typically transformed when we encountered someone who made us angry. I frowned as I thought about it. Werewolves encountered their destined mates following their initial transformation. The moon goddess chose each person's soulmate, who would become their mate. Finding your mate made you stronger, and sometimes it unlocked new powers. Our connection with our mates embodied a sacred relationship. Some werewolves found their mates early. Just like me, some werewolves experienced delays before finding their mates. As alpha blood ran through both Emiliano and me, while Mateo's father held the position of beta leader in our pack, we had excellent odds of finding our soulmates. Despite our strong potential for finding mates, we remained unpaired. I was 21, and so was Mateo. Despite being 4 years senior to us, Emiliano had yet to find his mate. My mother's voice cut through my thoughts, asking me, "Valeria, are you finished yet?" The sound of her voice now filled the entire house instead of being transmitted through the mind link. I quickly replied, "I'm coming." There were no additional responses before my mother received them. "Hurry up, we'll be late." I swiftly put on my mascara before reaching for my red lipstick. The red color always boosted my confidence, and my pale skin made me appear bolder when wearing it. I took a brief look in the mirror before dashing down the stairs without stumbling over my heels. "Valeria Owens," my mother shouted from the living room. "If you don't hurry, we're going to run into serious trouble." I rushed downstairs while muttering a quick, "Yeah, yeah." "I'm coming, Mom." Celine laughed through our link. "Looks like your fate has been sealed now." I couldn't help but laugh along. Whenever she uses my full name, nothing positive happens. My mom raised her hand to stop me from speaking. She snatched the words from me before I could respond as she said, "No excuses, Missy. The family car will have seating for your father, your brother, and me. Your trip will be with Beta Martin and his family." "Of course, Mom," I replied while making an effort to keep my frustration from showing. "Go on now." She gestured towards the door as she instructed me to hurry up. Mateo stood waiting for me by the car I was scheduled to ride in, with his arm extended to assist me. He looked good, as usual. Mateo matched my outfit perfectly with his navy blue suit and black tie, so I thought my mom informed him of my dress choice. Mateo's golden hair looked perfect, and I couldn't resist admiring his handsome appearance. Mateo opened the door, and I received his dazzling smile, which accompanied the compliment, "You look amazing, Valeria." "Thanks," I said, feeling a little flustered. You look great, too. He assisted me into the vehicle so I could slide into the seat beside him. Beta Martin drove the car while his wife Camila occupied the passenger seat. Mateo and I took our seats in the back while we engaged in small talk during our drive. I looked out the window when our car sped past the recognizable pack grounds while the trees rushed past. We were traveling towards the Manantiel de Luna pack's territory. The drive would take about 2 hours. The Cascada Plateada pack inhabited the misty mountains, while its territory boasted the renowned Cascadas Brumosas waterfalls. The beauty of this place was magnified as the mist around the waterfalls created an enchanting veil-like appearance. As we approached our final stop, I noticed my nervousness begin to fade. After all, this wasn't just any party. The big event united Colombia's top packs in one gathering. Despite not being among the wealthiest packs, we managed to achieve success for ourselves. The black Land Rovers served as our transportation, and the initial and concluding vehicles provided security. The safety of our group was ensured by our pack warriors, who rode in both the front and back cars. As we arrived at the venue, my jaw almost hit the floor. The beautiful mansion stood before us in all its glory. A beautiful Victorian-style mansion sat in front of us together with a broad French-style garden. The path leading to the front door featured neatly trimmed boxwood hedges, while tall junipers trimmed into spirals stood in urns positioned on both sides of the entrance. I whispered my admiration of the place while my eyes remained wide open. I love the garden. Camila smiled and said, "Their private garden will blow your mind." 2 warriors from the Manantiel de Luna pack guided us to the entrance. I needed Mateo's arm for support as I walked because these heels were difficult to manage. I really liked my shoes, but wearing high heels was new to me. Flats were more my style. We paused to verify our invitations when I felt a chill run through me as the nighttime breeze turned chilly. Before I left home, I should have taken a cardigan with me. We soon entered the mansion after our walk. The atmosphere was buzzing with excitement. The gathering included numerous pack leaders, powerful werewolves, and high-level members representing different regions of Colombia. The leader of the Manantiel de Luna pack held the highest respect throughout the nation. He held the alpha position along with the superior rank of king of all alphas, and his Luna, the queen. The mansion displayed luxurious yet inviting decorations while the space buzzed with lively conversation and the sound of glassware touching. While I took in the faces around me, Celine's voice unexpectedly interrupted my thoughts. "He's here," she whispered through our link. "I can feel it." "Who?" I asked, confused. "Our mate," she replied excitedly. "He's here. I know it." My heart skipped a beat. Could it really be him? After all this time of waiting? "Oh my goddess, he's here," I whispered under my breath while struggling to contain my excitement. My eyes darted across the room as I surveyed each man in sight while seeking to find the one destined to be with me. The tension in the space grew heavy, and waiting was my only option. The future was uncertain to me, but tonight I knew it would stay in my memory forever. Chapter 02, Valeria's Point of View. The figure at the top of the staircase captured Valeria's gaze while her heart pounded furiously inside her chest. In front of her, he stood, addressing the crowd, and he embodied every expectation she held of her destined partner. He occupied the room with a commanding aura while his confidence was apparent, yet he exuded a strange warmth and familiarity despite their lack of previous acquaintance. His scent was unmistakable. Coffee and cinnamon. She felt a comforting and intoxicating aroma envelop her in the way a blanket would on a cold winter night. The universe seemed to softly call out her name, and she realized her journey had finally reached its conclusion. She breathed out mate as a silent prayer while the words slipped from her lips. She attempted to regain control, but the overwhelming magnetic pull toward him made her hands clench at her sides. Celine's wolf paced restlessly inside her mind, while she felt a strong urge to run to him and claim him. But Valeria held back. Her eyes scanned the ballroom crowd to find familiar faces. Standing by the stairs, Valeria saw her parents, Santiago and Isabella, facing the man at the top. Emiliano stood among them, but his eyes revealed his distraction since his past admissions still weighed heavily upon him. The sound of Mateo's voice broke through Valeria's thoughts and brought her back to reality. With his hand resting on her shoulder, Mateo stood behind her while he spoke in a voice filled with worry. She responded with yeah, I'm fine, but the strain in her voice revealed the truth. It's just him. He's my mate. Mateo's expression softened. He recognized her internal conflict as she battled between her obligations and her wants. Mateo knew the irresistible attraction between mates because none of them could avoid it. Go to him, Val. He's waiting for you. Valeria shifted her gaze towards Mateo to detect any sign of jealousy or anger in his eyes. Her loyalty to him remained strong, but her heart had already chosen another person. Since childhood, Mateo served as both Valeria's closest friend and her most trusted confidant. Their engagement existed primarily as a strategic alliance. She worked to maintain this balance while experiencing a deep bond with her mate. He's here, Valeria whispered. He is here at last. I cannot abandon Emmy in this state, even though it feels necessary. Mateo committed to staying with him while showing understanding through his voice. You go. You deserve this. We'll be fine. Valeria gave a nod while carrying both a burdened heart and a hopeful spirit. She sensed Celine growing impatient inside her body, which pushed her to start moving. Her eyes locked straight onto him as she faced the man who stood at the staircase's peak. As he continued to talk, Valeria focused on his presence rather than listening to his words. Her entire life she had been searching for him, the man who would complete her, and he was the only thing she could focus on. Valeria exhaled deeply before starting to walk with slow and precise steps toward the grand staircase. People moved away to create space for her, even though they appeared oblivious to her passage. Her heart pounded fiercely against her chest while she ascended the staircase, where every step felt like an endless weight. The pull became unbearable as she approached closer. As she approached him, the sound of her heart pounding in her ears grew louder, like an intense drumbeat. As soon as she climbed to the top, he turned to face her. His brilliant blue eyes held her gaze and made the room vanish from existence for an instant. The two individuals found themselves united by a force that was much greater than their own existences. The words escaped her lips before she could control them as she whispered to him, "You're him." His smile revealed a curious undertone. He introduced himself with a voice that sounded deep and full, while saying, "And you must be Valeria Montoya," as if waves were crashing against rocks. "I've been waiting for you." The sound of his voice made her heart leap inside her chest. The whisper of her voice barely reached his ear as she responded, "I've been waiting for you too." He moved toward her, and his presence wrapped around her as if she were in a comforting embrace. His hand enveloped her face gently, while his touch sent an electric shock through her body. She sensed his wolf inside him, while she felt her own wolf, just as both beings recognized and accepted the link they had created from their first encounter. He introduced himself as Alfa Reinaldo Vargas while focusing intently on her gaze. "But you can call me Reinaldo, or whatever you'd like." The mention of his name sent Valeria's heart fluttering. Reinaldo. The name felt like it belonged to her identity as much as her own name. She whispered his name, Reinaldo, and it tasted sweet as it left her tongue. His smile returned while his eyes conveyed deep affection. "Meeting you has been a genuine pleasure, Valeria." Their silence grew heavy as they remained quiet, feeling the weight of their shared connection between them. Celine howled within Valeria while filling her with joy and pushing her to take control of what belonged to her. The same longing existed within Reinaldo, as his wolf also showed enthusiasm for connection. Suddenly, Emiliano's voice broke through, as though reality had snapped back into place. Emiliano called out to Valeria in a voice that sounded strained because he was worried. Valeria saw him standing tense at the stair's bottom with a pale face. Mateo stood next to him while placing his hand on Emiliano's shoulder to try to comfort him. Valeria felt torn between her happiness about finding her mate and her sorrow for Emiliano's evident distress. Reinaldo, picking up on her inner turmoil, turned his attention toward Emiliano while maintaining a blank expression. "Do you need any help?" Reinaldo asked in a tranquil voice that betrayed his underlying worry. For an instant, Emiliano paused before he moved forward to meet Valeria's eyes. With his voice breaking, he whispered to himself, "I don't know if I can do this. I discovered who my soulmate is, although my father will likely reject him. He's not just a werewolf, he's a male werewolf." Valeria's heart sank at the admission. She had anticipated from the start that Emiliano's search for his mate would face significant challenges. Emiliano's father, Santiago Montoya, possessed rigid beliefs, which made the prospect of accepting Emiliano with another man particularly difficult for him. Valeria told Emmy with determination and strength in her voice that she would stand by him. "No matter what, we'll get through this together." Emiliano showed her appreciation through his gaze, but worry remained clear in his eyes. Reinaldo, sensing the tension, stepped forward. As he looked at Emiliano, his gaze softened because he understood how serious the situation was. Reinaldo offered quietly with firm resolve, "I will stand by you as well if it helps. Your mate belongs to you regardless of who they are, and their bond should remain unbroken. Not even your father." The words from Reinaldo caused Valeria to open her eyes wide in astonishment at his voice's serene power. She had believed he would protect her, but never expected him to also defend her brother from harm. Emiliano's face showed both disbelief and gratitude as he lifted his gaze to meet Reinaldo's. "You would do that?" he asked, while his voice remained almost at a whisper. Reinaldo nodded. "Of course. We are a pack. We are family. I refuse to allow anyone to break apart a bond like that." Valeria experienced an emotional surge within her chest as she confronted the full extent of her brother's difficulties. Emiliano's eyes showed clear relief when he understood he now had support in his fight. Reinaldo pledged to take any necessary actions to ensure their safety while his eyes moved between them. "The present moment calls for us to release our past attachments to progress forward. I promise to find a way that will bring everyone together." Valeria felt the genuine tone of his voice touch her heart deeply. Valeria had absolute confidence she could trust Reinaldo. He wasn't just her mate. He functioned as both her partner and equal, who recognized the value of family unity through every challenge. Emiliano whispered, "Thank you," filling his voice with deep emotion. "Thank you for understanding." The reassuring warmth of Reinaldo's smile caused Valeria's heart to flood with love. "It's what we do, Emmy. We protect each other." A quiet understanding passed among them as they stood together for a brief moment. The burdens of the night vanished from Valeria's shoulders as her heart filled with warmth. Although she anticipated future obstacles ahead, she felt ready to face them because Reinaldo stayed by her side and her family provided their full support. Reinaldo interrupted the quiet with a playful smile. "Do you want to introduce yourself to the other guests?" Valeria smiled back, her heart light. She took his hand in hers as she directed him forward. Chapter 003. Valeria's point of view. I didn't think, I just ran. My heart pounded against my chest as if it wanted to burst free from my ribs while I rushed down the stone stairs faster than my thoughts could follow. The freezing wind slapped against my face but failed to extinguish the intense fire that burned inside me. My emotions were a whirlwind, spinning, crashing. I barely knew where I was going. The inner pain ripping through me was all I could focus on. My mate, my true mate, wasn't mine. The greenhouse seemed within reach as I sprinted towards it until I paused at the intersection. The chest pain intensified and dragged me further into nothingness. The pain felt as though it was ripping my soul into pieces. I couldn't breathe. Suddenly I realized that Celine, my wolf, let out an agonizing howl. "No, our mate already has a Luna." Her scream for a mate echoed through my mind while her voice overwhelmed me with its intense suffering. "The owner of the pup has already claimed him." The words crashed through my head with the intensity of 100 simultaneous thunderstorms. As another howl erupted, Celine's words pierced my being. I stumbled, almost falling to the ground. The pain inside me was unbearable. A sharp pain tore through my chest as if someone had wielded a blade to carve my heart open. My eyes produced hot tears that ran down my face against my will, and I could not stop them. These tears burned my skin with acidic pain while confirming I wasn't his chosen one. I wasn't his true mate. How could this be happening? How could I feel like this? How could it hurt this much? I struggled to breathe as my knees gave way beneath me. The ground under me turned to ice in a flash as frost expanded quickly to fill the entire greenhouse. Unfamiliar energy drained from my body until I realized I had lost its power, leaving me empty like a shell compared to my previous self. As my body shook with tremors, the frozen ground began to grow sharp ice spikes around me. My feelings created a destructive storm of icy destruction that felt like I unleashed a blizzard. Energy rushed through my body and fought against my chest pain, yet no comfort could diminish the harsh reality I was facing. Alfa Reinaldo Vargas, who was the supreme alpha of all, did not belong to me. He had already bonded with someone else. Celine had received his mark, and they welcomed a son together. I was abandoned before I ever discovered what love from him felt like. "Why, Celine?" I whispered through gritted teeth. "Why is this happening? Why did you bring me here when you knew you would tear me apart?" But Celine was silent. She vanished from my presence and left me isolated to endure this unbearable truth. Our connection was broken, and I lost the ability to feel her presence or hear her voice. A fragment of my being had been excised from me and left behind only a void of emptiness. The folds surrounded me while my thoughts raced uncontrollably. Something else started to warm me from within. The comforting mint scent I recognized surrounded me while I sensed a jacket settling on my shoulders. Mateo. His scent. His presence was immediately obvious to me without needing to see him. His presence beside me provided a comforting weight that anchored me while everything else slipped away. Whenever I needed him, Mateo was always present and ready to provide comfort when I couldn't find it myself. He dropped to his knees next to me while his arms softly pulled me into his embrace. His chin sat on top of my head while his arms wrapped around me tightly to hold me close. He spoke softly to me. "Shh, Valeria," as his voice remained steady yet revealed his underlying worry. "I'm right here. You're not alone. I've got you." Despite his soothing words, I felt the pain remaining within my chest as it burned fiercely. My partner had left me to spend time with another woman, his true Luna. I wasn't her. I couldn't be. My body shook furiously while I sobbed into Mateo's chest and held on to him tightly. I longed to share with him the full extent of my inner torment, but found myself unable to speak because my words remained trapped within my stomach. I had no idea how to start describing my emotions to anyone. I found myself without words to express the destruction happening to my heart and soul while feeling utterly helpless to stop it. Mateo responded softly with, "I know," while his hand provided comfort by rubbing my back. "I saw what happened. I was behind you." He didn't need to say more. Just being near him brought me peace and provided some solace to my inner turmoil. Despite having Mateo's support, I found myself unable to stop the thoughts about Reinaldo. I couldn't stop imagining him with his Luna while I remained an insignificant shadow in his existence. My mate, my alpha, he desired someone else instead of me. Emiliano came towards us. His voice showed tension as he scanned the frozen greenhouse. "Who created these?" he demanded while gesturing toward the dangerous ice spikes emerging from the ground. He shook his head in disbelief. "Mateo, I've already linked the warriors. The team is arriving with a vehicle to drive Valeria back home. We must take her away from this place immediately. Valeria, you must reject him. My father Santiago told me." The frantic tone of his voice carried an urgency that reached me despite the pain fogging my thoughts. "It's the only way. I understand this will cause you pain, but you must reject him, for your good. You can't keep this bond. It will destroy you." My eyes welled up with tears while I looked at him. He walked back and forth repeatedly while his loud footsteps echoed against the cold ground, but none of his words helped alleviate my suffering. I heard nothing but the crushing weight of his words, which ordered me to abandon what had been my only sense of rightness. I felt torn between my love for him and the painful truth that he saw me as nothing. "He has a Luna." He called me a son while tears broke through his voice as he stared at me. "Valeria, you must reject him now to protect yourself. Do you hear me?" Santiago muttered, "I can't believe this," as his voice trembled with both anger and regret. "First, my son disappoints me." He stopped speaking about his daughter, but his eyes revealed deep pain. I hadn't had time to think before Emiliano stepped up and punched my father in the face, which landed with a horrible thud. My father lost his balance while retreating and collapsed onto the frozen plants scattered across the greenhouse floor. "You have no right to speak to her this way," Emiliano snarled while his teeth flashed dangerously in the dim light. Dark fury consumed his eyes while his voice carried intense rage. "You think this is easy for her? Do you believe advising her to deny him will solve everything? You cannot understand how it feels to go through something like that." Without warning, Emiliano attacked my father, lifting him by the collar with his hands ready to deliver another blow. Matteo intervened just in time to prevent Emiliano from striking my father as he pulled him away with his powerful hands. Matteo demanded, "Emiliano, stop," using a voice that was strong yet gentle. "You will worsen the situation if you don't calm down. He's coming. We can't let him see this. Not like this. The destruction he witnesses will lead him to believe that we're launching an attack." Emiliano fought against Matteo's hold, but his efforts were futile. Matteo was stronger. They shared an unspoken bond that remained strong between them even during their disagreements. Emiliano growled his refusal to allow him to treat her this way while his anger continued to simmer beneath the surface. Matteo replied softly. "I know," he said as he placed his hands on Emiliano's shoulders and spoke in a calm voice. "We must find a way to rescue Valeria from this place. We'll handle this, I promise." Matteo picked me up into his arms and carried me as if I weighed nothing at all. The energy in my body had faded, leaving me struggling to maintain my thoughts. The chest pain felt so overwhelming that breathing became nearly impossible. Our bond had broken, so I felt nothing from Celine anymore. My connection to her had vanished just as my bond with Ronaldo had disappeared before. Emiliano warned us to leave with a nervous tone while he searched the room with eyes that kept darting to the door. Now, I couldn't think, I couldn't feel it. Matteo carried me, because his arms held me, with the care that someone would use for something precious and fragile. We continued through the back exit of the greenhouse while the cold pressed in around us, with each step becoming weightier and requiring more focus because of the icy ground beneath our feet. The decision I made to turn down Ronaldo weighed heavily on me. A crushing heaviness emerged in my stomach that threatened to overpower me. My composure started to disintegrate when we arrived at the driveway. The pain in my chest was unbearable. I had to reject him. It was the only way. But could I? With difficulty, I whispered, "I, Valeria Montoya," as the words struggled to emerge. My thoughts became a storm where the cold sensations, physical pain, and deep sorrow merged. "I reject Alfa Reinaldo Vargas." A burst of intense pain shot through my body before I had a chance to finish the words, leaving me in agony beyond any I had ever experienced. A sharp blade struck my heart, causing my surroundings to disappear into darkness. Chapter 004. Ronaldo's Point of View. Alfa Reinaldo Vargas of the Manantiel de Luna pack found himself facing a hectic morning right after waking up. He inhaled deeply as rays of sunlight streamed through the curtains. Only the infrequent movements of his Luna Susana disturbed the silence of his room. The night stretched on, filled with restless thoughts, and he couldn't pinpoint the reason. The burden of his duty might have weighed on him, or possibly he sensed an impending change he had no power to influence. The bedside table clock showed the time as 7:30 a.m. Carlos's son probably hadn't woken up yet, at least for another 2 hours. Ronaldo didn't want to wake him yet. He wished to share a peaceful moment with Susanna before they needed to confront the day. Rarely did he experience such moments these days. As Susanna fought a fatal disease, she remained Ronaldo's Luna, which meant so much to him. The idea of losing her continued to haunt his heart, and today he would have to confront that truth once more. He glanced at her bed and saw that her frail body rested on her side of the bed. The chemotherapy had left visible effects on her body with her thin caramel hair and pale skin, but her eyes retained their vibrant life despite all her suffering. Ronaldo greeted her with a gentle, "Good morning," while tenderly removing a hair strand from her face. She stirred slightly, opening her eyes slowly. She whispered, "Morning," while offering him a genuine smile despite her exhaustion. Her smile maintained the cherished warmth despite her lips showing their pale coloration. Ronaldo announced that he would prepare breakfast while his voice sounded rough from waking up. She gave a nod, but remained silent because her exhausted body couldn't move. Prior to departing the Bracewell, before Reinaldo established a mind link with an Omega whose duty would be to monitor Carlos during their absence. The cycle of medical appointments and additional examinations brought more stress today. Although Reinaldo had become accustomed to their daily routine, it remained just as difficult. The Manantiel de Luna mansion had no sound as morning came. The pack occupied territory that extended past the walls, bordered by dense forests and expansive open plains. As Reinaldo walked down the steps, he could smell pine and wildflowers in the air. His thoughts were jumbled. The sensation that something imminent would occur refused to leave him. He stepped into the kitchen to start making a simple breakfast, which wasn't overly elaborate. Since his upcoming doctor's appointment required him to be mentally alert, he needed to stay focused. The concern about Susanna's condition occupied his mind with great intensity. Despite receiving minimal hope from doctors, she chose to fight. But what if? The pack nurse's voice calling out Alfa Luna interrupted his thoughts. The nurse at the entrance captured Reinaldo's attention as she stood bowing her head in respect. "We have everything prepared for Susanna's appointment whenever you decide to come." Reinaldo's heart sank. Each visit served as a constant reminder about the ongoing passage of time. "Thank you," he replied softly. "We'll be right there." He completed his current task rapidly because he didn't want to make Susanna wait. Even when she hid her feelings, she depended on his presence. He ascended the stairs to discover her in bed with her eyes shut as though she battled her physical struggles. "Usana," he called gently. "It's time." Her eyes opened, and she smiled softly before she swung her legs off the bed. She never required assistance because her inner strength remained intact, even when her physical self failed her. Despite his support being unnecessary, Reinaldo stood ready to assist her. The drive to the clinic was silent. Alex, Reinaldo's wolf, remained unsettled and moved around in the deepest recesses of his thoughts. The weight of their circumstances pressed heavily upon him. Now was not the time for him to consider these thoughts. Both the pack and Susanna required his assistance. As they entered the clinic, they encountered the known smell of antiseptic mixed with the unique scent of werewolf blood. As always, the nurse welcomed them before leading them to the examination room. Susanna's hand in Reinaldo's grip shook ever so slightly. He gave her hand a gentle squeeze in an attempt to provide some small comfort. A tall, older man with silver hair entered the room shortly after that. His kindness was undeniable, yet his eyes held a familiar regret that Reinaldo recognized too well. The doctor greeted them with Alfa Luna and a small bow. "The tumor has increased in size, according to the new scan results." Reinaldo's stomach dropped. The news wasn't unexpected to him, but verbalizing it made the situation hit home. Reinaldo noticed the hidden anguish within Susanna's eyes, even though her expression stayed unchanged. She didn't cry anymore. She couldn't afford to. With his voice remaining unwavering, Reinaldo inquired, "How bad?" even as he felt a storm rising within him. The doctor said softly that we might have 1 or 2 years left, depending on this progression rate. Susanna grasped his hand and flashed him a little smile, which seemed to communicate everything would be all right. The weight of his emotions made Reinaldo feel as though his heart was fracturing. Living with this reality had become routine for them over time, yet reading about it in black and white remained intolerable. Susanna declared her intent to fight on, as her voice showed signs of trembling, yet remained determined. "We can't waste time. Carlos's birthday is coming up." Reinaldo wanted to scream. He wanted to embrace her and reassure her everything would work out. But deep down he knew the truth. The remaining time dwindled while it boat remainderless to halt its passage. The pair walked across the park grounds in silence until noon, as Reinaldo dwelled on his thoughts and Susanna concentrated on preparing for the party. Carlos's first birthday was happening in just a few days, and it was one of her few remaining sources of happiness. The mansion's resident son had already risen from bed and was engaged in playtime with his Omega babysitter. His little arms stretched toward Susanna, and his face lit up with a big smile when he saw her. "Mama," he giggled, and Susanna's heart melted. Susanna bent to lift him as her tiredness faded away for a moment. She regained her true self by holding Carlos in her arms. She managed to pretend for a moment that everything around her returned to normal. Reinaldo stood in the doorway, watching them. A sharp sense of guilt washed over him. When they exchanged vows, Reinaldo had made commitments to her, which now felt distant. A political union was his hope for their happiness, but he didn't anticipate falling in love with her. Their connection developed authenticity despite not representing the bond of true mates. "Reinaldo, what's wrong?" Susanna's voice broke through his thoughts. His gaze met hers, and he noticed how her eyes expressed her worry. "It's nothing." He fabricated that the northern rogues occupied his mind while attempting to dismiss his concerns. She lifted her eyebrow while showing that she didn't believe him. "Are you sure? You've been quiet all morning." "I'm fine. I'm just worried," he admitted. "But we'll deal with it later. Carlos's party is more important." Her smile revealed mischievous sparkles in her eyes. "You're always worrying about the pack. Can we spend today just focusing on our son instead of the usual worries?" Reinaldo chuckled softly. "I suppose you're right. Let's make today about Carlos." The day passed in a blur. The team dedicated all their energy to planning Carlos's first birthday celebration, while Susanna worked relentlessly in spite of her medical strengths. She decided to personally select every detail, from decorations to the cake and party favors. When Reinaldo tried to offer assistance, she ignored him completely. Earlier she told Matt, "You're focused on the pack. I've got this." As night approached, the party began. The Manantiel de Luna mansion buzzed with joyful sounds of laughter and music. The pack members assembled to commemorate Carlos's milestone while everything temporarily returned to normal. For several hours, she experienced the world feeling lighter than she had felt in a long time. Reinaldo stared at his son while a sense of pride filled his heart. Carlos brought joy to their entire family, while Reinaldo could not picture life ahead without his son. The thought was always succeeded by the crushing knowledge that Susanna's presence would not last forever. He attempted to keep that thought at bay, but it continuously remained present, hiding in the background. During the night's closing hours, Reinaldo and Susanna discovered a brief moment of solitude together while standing on the balcony overlooking the pack's territory. Above them, the stars radiated bright tightness, while the forest's scent traveled through the cool night air. Susanna started to say her wish, but her voice remained just above a whisper. Reinaldo turned to her, his heart racing. "What do you wish for?" Her smile was faint, while her eyes showed dandedness. "My heart desires to be present for Carlos and for you as well as everything else. I am aware that this is not going to be what happens." Reinaldo's throat tightened. He was searching for comforting words to help her feel better, but the truth was, he couldn't. "I'll take care of you, Susanna," he reassured her, saying, "I'll take care of Carlos." While his voice remained rough, "I promise." She gave a small nod while leaning her head onto his shoulder. "I know you will." As they remained silent in the night, Reinaldo committed to himself that he would protect them. He would protect them. He vowed to remain their steadfast support, regardless of what lay ahead. Chapter 005. Reinaldo's Point of View. My office looks like any typical workspace, but it is slightly larger than average. Windows span the full length of the wall behind my mahogany desk, while dark espresso-colored bookshelves on both sides allow in constant natural light. The thin curtains allow soft illumination to fill the room, which softens the impact of harsh sunlight. My desk area features two navy blue velvet chairs with deep button tufting that stand around a dark espresso French coffee table. Positioned on opposite sides of the room are two black velvet couches with matching tufting, which provide seating for several guests. The area displays refined elegance but maintains a relaxed atmosphere. As I'm about to sit down and start working, I hear someone knocking on the door. I call out, "Come in," while pressing my nose bridge to fight off the emerging headache. Mariana greets me with "Morning, boss," in a voice that seems too bright for early morning. Mariana Torres is my Pax Gamma. Although she's only 21 years old, she secured her position by demonstrating hard work and determination along with superior skills that surpass what I'd care to acknowledge. Mariana stands out from her pack parents, who are ordinary members. She lacks the brute strength of our strongest warriors. Yet she can still fight effectively, even though her body size is small. She moves quickly and nimbly while trusting her smart thinking. Above all, she maintains engaging discussions, which typically involve me. She drops into the chair opposite me while her familiar smile lights up her face. I deliver a dry report as I settle into my chair and attempt to block out the building pressure around my temples. She notes with a raised eyebrow that someone started their day on the wrong side of the bed. I'm already facing disasters today, and it's before 10 a.m., I say while rubbing my eyes and leaning back in my chair. She warns me that things will only deteriorate from this point. A small notepad in her possession opens up as she brings it out. For some time now, we've monitored a group of rogues who moved northwards. They're still out there. Their intentions remain a mystery, and current conditions look dangerous. The Underworld Council's operatives intervened to rescue a human village that was attacked a few days ago. The Underworld Council's operatives were nearby enough to intervene when needed. There were only a few human casualties. I lean forward, raising an eyebrow. The Underworld Council? What reasons would bring the Underworld Council near our borders? They usually stay out of our way. The Underworld Council represents a group composed of vampires, fairies, shapeshifters, elves, and other supernatural entities who work to maintain secrecy between their world and humans. The Underworld Council serves as the supernatural world's law enforcement, but we werewolves resist interference from external parties in our matters. We prefer to resolve our issues rather than let outside parties handle them, especially regarding rogue wolves. We don't trust anyone else. Mariana tightens her gaze while she searches through her notepad pages. Yeah, that's the weird part. One of my sources informs me that they actively monitored the growing use of dark magic throughout the region. The council's operatives tracked the shadow witches who were under suspicion. Upon discovering the rogue group, their immediate response was to intervene. I have acquired information from another source stating that these rogue creatures operate under organized command. There exists a person who directs the attackers about their next targets and timing for assaults. Something's off here, Reinaldo. It doesn't feel right. I stop to take a deep breath while I process what I've heard. I'm uncertain which is more concerning, the rogue wolf attacks on human villages or their potential alliance with dark magic followers. Trouble awaits us in either situation, which is exactly what we can't afford at this moment. Mari tracks the rogue wolves but monitors the council at the same time. We need to investigate both their activities and the witches. I've got a bad feeling about this. Didn't you have a light witch friend to ask for help? Maybe she knows something. A playful twinkle appears within her smile. Boss, you're distinguishing between good witches and light witches. There's a difference. Light witches obtain their powers through natural elements while performing virtuous actions. Shadow witches practice magic through dark means and necromancy. You'd think you'd remember this by now. I give her an exaggerated glare. I know the difference, thank you. Bad witch, good witch. Same thing. She grins, clearly not buying it. You think you're clever, huh? What name should you give to a vampire who isn't afraid of sunlight? Is it called a daylighter? I question while anticipating her correction. She shakes her head and laughs. No, he's a day drinker. My earlier frustration vanishes as I join her laughter. Mariana's contagious energy serves as a perfect way to release the stress accumulated throughout the day. She has always been our go-to person for mood improvement because she can make Susanna laugh at crucial times and pull me away from my work-related bad moods. All right, I say, waving her off. Go rest up before the party tonight. Susanna will feel elated to spend time with you. Her face falters for just a second. Reinaldo, I apologize, but I won't make it tonight. Rogue bandits appeared in the vicinity close to this location. I must track them down because their tracks are still fresh. Mauricio already linked you about it, right? I feel my shoulders sag. Great. Susanna will be furious with me when she learns you're leaving early. Before departing, she states with a gentle smile that she'll stop to say hi. I miss little Alpha. It's been a while. I remind her with a smile that his name is Carlos, but she has already started to leave. Even as she prepares to leave, she pauses to turn back toward me. Reinaldo, you gave me everything I have today. she declares with gravity in her words. My current self exists today because you gave me this opportunity. We will always stand by you no matter what happens. Always. She nods her head downward briefly before exiting the room, which leaves me with a grateful yet inexplicable sensation. The afternoon slips away as paperwork and last-minute tasks overwhelm me until suddenly it's 5 p.m. I still need to verify a few things because the guests will start arriving shortly. Alex, what do you think? Shall we go running? I ask as I tap my fingers on the desk while waiting for my wolf to answer. Alex's voice vibrates with pure excitement when he says excitedly, "Finally!" I had begun to question when you would finally ask me. I exit the office and proceed towards the garden. Staff members rush throughout the house to complete the final preparations for the party. I move cautiously to avoid disturbing anyone while I approach the French doors leading to the garden. I cast a brief look around before I take off my clothes and transform into my wolf shape. I hand over control to Alex, who takes command during a few amazing moments. Alex's fur shares the same intense black shade as my natural hair color, while our eyes both have an identical pale blue hue. In wolf form, we become enormous creatures that exceed the size of most wolves and resemble beings from ancient legends. Not the sparkling vampire kind of myth, though. More like the beastly, powerful kind. We move through the grounds as we inspect the perimeter and sense complete tranquility. Too calm. It's strange. The silence of the night combined with the surrounding air creates a sense of unease within me. Once our patrol ends, I transform back into my human shape and proceed into the house by entering through the kitchen. The place is chaos, as expected. The staff is pushing themselves to work twice as hard to prepare everything. I make my way through the chaos before entering the service elevator to ascend to the 3rd floor. My nights have mostly been in Susanna's room since she became pregnant, and I have hardly slept anywhere else following Carlos's arrival. The room's quiet as I enter. Susanna and Carlos rest peacefully with their gentle breathing, providing a comforting counterpoint to the chaos occurring downstairs. I take a silent shower and dress myself before I pick out my navy blue tunic. This navy blue tunic represents one of our pack's colors, while also standing as my personal favorite choice. My eyes flicker toward Carlos's crib while I wear a smile of contentment. He appears so tranquil that I make sure to not disturb them while I quietly exit the room. I return downstairs to discover the party has reached its peak. The ballroom buzzes with activity as guests move through it. While I exchange greetings with different pack leaders and share old news, I notice Roberto Garcia, who leads the Colmillo Grease pack. Ronaldo, he calls out to me, and we fist bump, saying, "It's been too long." Roberto, how's life treating you? Am I right in thinking you're still in search of your mate? He lets out a deep laugh. He hasn't appeared yet, but I am confident he'll show up tonight. What? Here? I ask, raising an eyebrow. You mean here in this house? Yep, Roberto grins. My wolf, Guillermo, can feel him. Our wolf says he smells our mate, who has the scent of lemon custard, and he detects it originating from your home. Really? After that revelation, I can't help but joke that you might even have a fairy godmother, too. Roberto shrugs, unfazed. Hey, if the shoe fits, Cinderella. But yeah, Guillermo's not wrong. There's a scent around here. I take in the garden with a quick look and draw a deep breath. I catch a whiff of something. The fragrance starts faint but reveals notes of raspberry and black currant with a touch of sugared musk. This sweet, intoxicating aroma strikes me as completely familiar. Alex's mind voice emits a low growl that combines both admiration and lurking danger. She's here. What do you mean she's here? I mutter as my mind races to understand what's happening. Our true mate? Raspberry combined with black currant and sugared musk, Alex states while his voice carries an intense urgency. I remain motionless for a brief moment. The scent is undeniable. Even the slightest scent makes my heart race inside my chest. She's here. I look at Roberto as a wave of realization strikes me. It's her. Chapter 006, Ronaldo's Point of View. I couldn't believe it. Why was she here? Why now? Did Susanna's plea reach the moon goddess? I scanned every corner of the room, but she remained hidden from view. Maybe she was outside, I thought. The room trembled with 2 thunderous growls before I managed to start moving again. The dreaded word mate reached my ears at that moment. As I scanned the room, my eyes moved quickly before I saw Roberto with his mate. The two of them embraced tightly while their faces touched the skin of each other's necks. But what worried me wasn't them. The older man standing behind them had to be Roberto's father. His son would have died from his stare if looks killed. The visible disappointment on his face created intense tension in the room. A deep rumbling growl from him served as a warning, which made the couple separate. I rushed toward them with concern that the situation could worsen. I looked at Emilio Montoya, who would become the alpha of the Cascada Plateada pack and who was the mate of Roberto. The reports showed their pack consisted of approximately 200 wolves. Their alliance held deep-rooted historical events. According to legends, these wolves descended from the original wolves whom the moon goddess blessed with supernatural powers surpassing those of typical werewolves. "Apologies, Your Majesty." Emiliano's Luna apologized to the monarch while bowing her head for her husband's unintentional disturbance. With a look of understanding and sympathy, I let her know that I felt nothing but compassion. She escorted Emiliano out of the ballroom holding his arm, yet I could not say a word before Emiliano stormed off toward the garden. Roberto attempted to follow after me, but I pulled his arm back. "You should give him some space to process everything. Let him process it all." Reinaldo couldn't grasp what I was explaining because his voice quivered as he spoke. "He's my mate. It hurts seeing him like this. Our shared connection creates an experience where we directly feel our partner's emotions. I can't just leave him alone." I understood what he was going through as I placed my hand on his shoulder. "But you have to give him time. Let him work through it." Roberto gave a nod, yet worry continued to fill his eyes. I watched him go after Emiliano. Susanna's panicked voice immediately occupied my thoughts when he departed. My failure to wake her up caused Susanna to become upset with me. I glanced at my watch. It was already 7. Our speech presentation was scheduled for 7 p.m. I responded to her request immediately and headed toward the master bedroom. "Perhaps the goddess listened to you," I declared while opening the door and stepping into the room. Susanna dashed through the room, switching directions rapidly. She wore a pink silk robe and had her hair arranged in a perfectly twisted chignon. Her presence failed to bring me tranquility, as it normally would. Instead, it made me feel uneasy. Susanna asked about the situation while grabbing clothes and makeup from the counter, without making eye contact. I exclaimed about my true mate being here, although my words rushed out too quickly. Susanna paused briefly, yet resumed her frantic movements almost immediately. "That's nice," she replied in a flat tone while avoiding eye contact. I flinched at how she spoke. What had I just said to her? Did I reveal my true mate to Susanna as if it was no big deal? What kind of idiot was I? I moved my head from side to side to regain mental clarity. "I'm sorry, Susanna. I didn't mean it like that. I won't leave you. I am responsible for both you and Carlos." My arms wrapped around her body while my face rested deeply against her neck. Now I felt nausea as her familiar rose-scented perfume reached my nose. Something had changed. "I'm not upset," she responded, although her voice sounded far away. "I always knew this was possible, remember? But tell me, what's her name? Does she belong to one of our ally groups?" I told her I still didn't know her name. We sense her presence and catch her scent, but we haven't seen her. As she widened her eyes briefly, she asked about Roberto. "Isn't he your cousin? Why is he acting like this?" I couldn't help but chuckle. "You wouldn't believe it. His mate is Emiliano Montoya." His father's face would have been priceless to see. The conflict between Roberto and Emiliano Montoya almost escalated into a war inside the ballroom. The sound of a small laugh escaped her lips as she shook her head. "Let's get this over with," she said. "We need to speak with the guests first so we can search for your true match afterward. She needs to be aware of my condition so that she doesn't reject me. You can't just reject her." I questioned her with confusion. What made her think that I would reject her? "You forget, Reinaldo," Susanna said. "You're married. You have a son. What do you think her reaction will be when she discovers the truth?" She paused briefly before revealing, "She's unaware that our marriage was politically motivated." A chilling sensation twisted my gut. Was our marriage rust political? Susanna's presence had become familiar to me while Carlos was our son. How was it possible to abandon them for an unknown person whom I hadn't met yet? We finished getting ready after an hour had gone by. Together we descended the staircase and reached the ballroom. Susanna had on a navy blue ball gown that complemented my tunic, while our son Carlos wore a small white uniform. Watching them laugh and play together stopped me in my tracks. We stopped halfway down the stairs. The space was filled while the air maintained its subtle sweetness from the same fruity aroma. I took a deep breath. Alex stirred within me, purring in contentment. The air was thick with tension, yet it was my mate's scent that pushed me to the brink of madness. I started my speech to the assembled people by saying, "Guests, family, friends, Alpha King Reinaldo Vargas and Queen Luna Susanna Vargas extend their gratitude for joining our son's first birthday celebration. Manantiel de Luna pack will have their new alpha in the future." A growl came from outside. The possessive and dangerous growl produced an intense shockwave through my chest. My heart started pounding as I paused abruptly while speaking. I couldn't think. The scent was all I needed to follow and locate her. The celebration we prepared for him should be enjoyable to you according to our wishes. Susanna tried to touch my arm, and I instinctively pulled it away. I couldn't stay here. I rushed into the garden with my heart pounding loudly in my ears. Bruno, who Susanna no doubt alerted, followed me to the greenhouse with 2 of our warriors. The scent was stronger now. The entire building stood motionless and cold at that moment. The explosion appeared to originate from some point around the center of the building, and that's when I saw him. I saw Santiago Montoya stretched out on the floor while blood trickled from the corners of his mouth. His Luna and Isabella joined Beta Mateo Rios, attempting to pull him away from the slippery plants, but they struggled to succeed. Roberto stood on the opposite side while he embraced Emiliano, whose canines were exposed and fists were tightly clenched. A growl erupted from Alex deep within me as my human form became insufficient. "What's going on?" Alex demanded with a sharp voice that carried his anger. The room was silent. "Answer me!" Alex shouted with such force that his voice shook the glass walls of the greenhouse. A sharp pain penetrated my chest before anyone managed to utter a word. It felt like someone had plunged a knife straight into my heart. She was rejecting me. I could feel it, deep inside. I fell to my knees while struggling to breathe. Everyone stood in stunned silence. As Alex detected our mate's scent once more, my senses exploded into chaos. The fragrance originated from the back exit. The scent that reached me now included a note of mint, mixed with the original fruity aroma. I picked up the scent and moved through the back driveway until I found her. She waited by the road for our arrival. She started coming toward us when she saw me. "Alex," Susanna's voice called out. She tried to comfort me by touching my arm, but Alex moved away abruptly. He barked, "No," as his fingers dug into her wrist and twisted so forcefully she fell to the ground. "You're not our mate," he snarled with his teeth exposed. The pain in my chest was unbearable. I experienced a sensation as though I was being ripped to pieces. We transformed into wolves while Alex assumed complete dominance. We ran into the woods while a long howl of pain burst from us because we needed to escape rejection's torment. Chapter 007, Emiliano's Point of View. I stood in the garden, my breath thick, fists balled, the cold air biting my skin. Roberto's arms were still around me, but I did not feel them. I was staring at my father, Santiago Montoya, the man whom I had admired all my life, the man who was now glaring at me as if I were a stranger. My chest tightened as he turned his disgusted sneer from me to Roberto. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. His silence was louder than any words ever could be. He moved forward slowly, wiping the blood from his mouth, and then pointed at me. "You disgrace this family," he muttered. I flinched as if he had slapped me. My mate growled next to me, but I put up a hand to stop him. "Don't," I whispered. "He's still my father." "For how long?" Roberto asked quietly. I didn't have an answer. "What am I supposed to do?" I said out loud, louder this time, my voice trembling. "Pretend the bond doesn't exist? You want me to turn him down, Dad?" "You should have," Santiago bellowed. "You should have left the moment you felt it." I shook my head, feeling the tears sting behind my eyes. "I couldn't. I love him." A long silence followed. The other wolves had come together, watching us as a pack would in the middle of a hunt, not knowing who the predator was. Santiago faced away from me. That broke me. I moved forward, my voice breaking. So that's it? And that's it? You're done with me? You made your choice, he said without looking back. Now live with it. Then he walked away. Just like that. No goodbye, no blessing, nothing. I fell to my knees, my heart beating in my ears. Roberto kneeled next to me, his arms encircling my shoulders. I hid my face in his chest, attempting to breathe through the pain. This couldn't be real. My father, my blood, he really left me behind. Roberto's hand caressed my jaw softly. I'm here, Milo. You have me. I stared up at him, eyes wide. But at what cost? Roberto kissed me tenderly, slowly, attempting to soothe the pain in my chest. His lips were warm, grounding, and for a second the world came to a standstill. But only for a moment. A loud howl pierced the trees. Several more followed. Something was happening. Roberto pulled back, his eyes narrowing as his wolf came to the surface. We're not alone, he said. What do you mean? I smell them. Rogues. We both stood, alert now. The other wolves moved, feeling it as well. That's when the first body dropped from the tree. A scout. Throat torn open. Screams broke out. The garden turned into chaos. I felt Roberto pull me back behind him. Stay close. But I couldn't. I shifted. My wolf burst out of me in a rage I did not recognize. I jumped into the chaos, looking for threats with my eyes. We were under attack, during a royal celebration. That meant one thing. This was planned. Another wolf attacked me, black fur, foaming mouth. I ducked, cut his side, and sent him crashing into a bench with a sickening crack. Blood sprayed across the garden. Something was wrong. These rogues weren't normal. Their eyes were glowing, too red, unnatural, dark magic. I heard Carlos screaming from somewhere in the house, Susana's voice calling for guards. Ronaldo's roar shook the trees. Then I saw him, Santiago, fighting a rogue with brute force, but his left leg was bleeding badly. Dad! I sprinted towards him, instincts taking over everything. He turned, shocked to see me. Another rogue lunged. I didn't think. I caught the beast in midair, bit its throat, and ripped it from Santiago. He stared at me, panting. You came back. I never left, I whispered, and in a blink of an eye his hand touched mine. But the moment was shattered by another scream, Isabella's. She appeared in view, blood gushing from her shoulder. They're inside. They're going after the boy. Carlos, I turned to Roberto. Go. He didn't hesitate. He changed mid-sprint and disappeared into the house. I followed right behind. Inside, the air smelled of blood and fear. Furniture was overturned, guards were dead, and walls were clawed. Carlos was in the arms of a rogue. My wolf snapped. I charged. I ripped the rogue from my nephew and smashed him into the glass table. He didn't get up. Carlos was crying, his face smeared with blood, but alive. Susana was crouched near, clutching her side, panting. Take him, she gasped. Get him out. I picked up Carlos, and he wrapped around me like a second skin. Outside again, running, dodging, the rogues had burnt part of the garden. Smoke filled the air. We arrived at the training field. Roberto found me there, shirt torn, blood all over, but none of it his. He looked at Carlos. He's okay? I nodded. Barely. Another explosion shook the pack house. The night sky glowed red. Then the edge of the woods was seen by a dark figure. A woman in black, eyes like frost, magic attached to her skin like smoke. She lifted a hand and all the rogues ceased. The wolves backed away, uncertain. Who is she? Roberto whispered. I shook my head. I don't know. But I would. She stared at me directly and smiled, then vanished into thin air. Gone. I stood there, gasping, bloody, my family gone, my heart broken. And I knew one thing. Everything would never be the same again. Who was that woman in black? And why was she chasing Carlos? Chapter 008, Valeria's POV. I could feel the weight of the night air on me, heavy and suffocating, cold. My heart pounded hard in my chest as I ventured further into the old Montoya estate, where every nook and cranny spoke in hushed tones, secrets I had been trying to avoid for too long. I could already feel the tightness in my chest as the walls were closing in and choking me with truths I had been too scared to face. But tonight, I could not run anymore. I needed to know the truth. Whenever I turned my gaze around the old house, the place that used to be home, all I saw were shadows. The faces of my family no longer felt comforting. They felt like masks. I had been lied to, repeatedly, and I wanted answers. Mom had always said that I was a Montoya, that the strength of our bloodline was accompanied by responsibilities, but nobody ever spoke of the darkness that accompanied it. As I entered my mother's study, a shiver ran up my spine as the heavy oak door groaned open under my hand. The air was filled with the smell of old leather and paper, a soothing but mournful reminder of the past. There in the middle of the room was an old book that my mother had kept secret for years. It was thick, its cover was worn leather, and age had yellowed its pages. My fingers shook as I opened it, and my stomach turned at what I saw. The words leapt from the page to me. Dark rituals, forbidden magic, and the Montoya pack in the middle of it all. I couldn't breathe. This was what my family had left behind, secrets, lies, and sacrifices. I did not want to believe it. I did not want to believe the truth, but I knew it was true at the bottom of my heart. My family, my own blood, had been part of rituals that involved dark magic, magic that had caused the very rogue attacks we had been fighting off. I slammed the book shut, and my pulse thumped in my ears. I couldn't do this. I could not be a part of this legacy. My mind was spinning, but before I could make heads or tails of the whirlwind in my head, the door creaked behind me. Valeria, my mother's voice murmured at the doorway. Her figure was in the doorway, her face unreadable. "You found it, haven't you?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Her voice lowered, a shadow passing over her face. "I never wanted you to learn in this manner, but it's too late to turn back now. Your father, he believed that was the only way to save us, to protect the pack." "What are you talking about? This dark magic, it has been tearing families apart. It's not protection, it's poison." Her face contorted with something I could not identify. "You believe I didn't know that? You believe that I did not feel the weight of it every day? We had no choice, Valeria. Your father, he was desperate. The rogue wolves were just the beginning." "Then what's next, Mom? What is it that we are actually doing here?" My voice cracked, and I couldn't hold back the tears that ran down my cheeks. She entered the room, standing beside me, the gentle warmth of her presence failing to warm the chill that was seeping through my veins. We struck a bargain with the darkness, expecting it to provide us with power, and it did. But there's always a price. I backed away from her, my heart aching with a combination of anger and fear. "So that's it? That's what we are? A family based on blood and magic?" She nodded, her voice soft. "We do what we have to do to live. Your father, he believed he could control it. But there are plans of magic itself. And now the rogues, the chaos, it's just the beginning of what's to come." I couldn't breathe. The truth weighed me down. If my family was really part of all this, then how could I ever be a part of it? How could I save the pack and prevent the darkness at the same time? "Why didn't you tell me this earlier? Why didn't you warn me?" My voice trembled as the anger began to boil over. Regret filled her eyes. "Because I didn't want you to lose faith in your family. I did not want you to hate us." "Well, congratulations," I spat. "I already do." The silence between us was unbearable. I felt like I could not even breathe in the same room as her anymore. How could she expect me to forgive them for this? To simply accept that our family had been playing with magic that was never meant to be played with? "You have to understand, Valeria," she said gently, almost pleading. "The pack, it was dying. We had no choice. We did what we had to do. And now it's all coming back to haunt us," I muttered, and my heart sank. "The rogues, the attacks, it's all due to the magic, isn't it?" My mother paused, and her eyes flickered with doubt. "Yes, but not just any magic. This is more ancient than anything we could have ever imagined. It has its own will. And if we don't stop it now, if we don't stop what your father started, then no one will be safe." I looked at her, all the hope I had left leaving my body. The truth was more terrible than I could have ever imagined. Not only had my father's deal with dark magic led to the rogue attacks, but it had unleashed something much worse. Something that none of us in our family could control. My chest constricted as the weight of what I had to do pressed down on me. What was I supposed to do at this point? Expose the truth? Kill my family in the process? Or remain silent and let this darkness continue to increase? If I made the wrong choice, it could destroy everything. I took a step back, shaking my head. I don't know what to do anymore. "You have to make a decision, Valeria. You have to choose where your loyalty lies." My mother's voice was strained, as if she herself was struggling with a choice she didn't want to make. I headed towards the window and looked out at the night sky. The moon was up high, sending an eerie light over the world. The wind roared outside as if the earth itself was warning me of the choice I had to make. Should I expose everything? Should I break my family to save others? Or should I shield them and allow the dark magic to flourish, nourishing itself on us until it was too late? The question reverberated in my head. There I stood in the cold, alone with the crushing weight of that decision. Could I save us? Could I have stopped the magic from spreading, or was it too far gone? I didn't know, and that uncertainty was scarier than anything I had ever encountered. Would I ruin my family, or let the darkness take over everything? And what would I be in the end? The night went on, quiet and oppressive, waiting for me to make up my mind. But what could I choose when there was no way to win? Chapter 009, A Dangerous Proposition, Mateo's POV. The night felt heavier tonight. Thin wisps of cloud provided a sliver of contrast, but the moon seemed almost invisible through it, a dim effort to pierce the darkness thick in the air. I could sense the unease eating away at my insides, but I didn't know why. Maybe it was Valeria, or maybe it was all that had happened during the past few days. I had observed her, witnessed the way she fought, and the way her world was crumbling around her, and I could not do a damn thing to stop it. I knew she needed someone, but she was pushing me away. Each time I attempted to contact her, it seemed as though she was thousands of miles away. I did not know how to repair it. I did not know how to win her trust back. She was beginning to be suffocated by the weight of her family's secrets, and I felt I was seeing her start to slip away from me. But that was not the only thing on my mind tonight. While I was walking through the woods attempting to clear my head, a voice came from the shadows. I stood there, my senses on high alert. I hadn't heard anyone coming, but I was not going to trust my instincts now. Mateo Vargas, the voice said, cool and smooth. I turned, my eyes searching the dark silhouette of the figure standing just beyond the trees. Who are you? The figure came forward, and I saw a tall man with dark eyes that seemed to look right through me. His lips turned into a knowing smile, but there was something dangerous in his gaze at me, something that gave me the creeps. You don't know me, he said, his voice low, as if he was whispering. But I know you. I know what you want, and I can give it to you. What the hell are you saying? I squinted my eyes, every part of me screaming to run, to escape whatever this was. I'm giving you a chance, Mateo, an opportunity to have everything you have ever desired. His voice was smooth, tempting. Power, control, the ability to change everything, and all you need to do is accept it. I took a step back, confused and angry. Why me? What's your game? He moved closer, never taking his eyes off mine. I don't play games, but I know you. I know what you can do, and I know you're having a hard time making a choice. You can remain where you are, faithful, stuck, always in second place, or you can take control of your future. It only takes one decision. I felt my chest tighten, a dangerous proposition. I had been warned of such deals, but a part of me couldn't resist the pull. The thought of finally being able to make my own decisions, of being able to take the reins of my future, was far too attractive. You're giving me power, I said slowly, attempting to maintain a steady voice. And what's the price? The smile on the man's face widened, but it was not warm. Everything has a price, Mateo. The question is, what are you willing to pay? My mind raced. I had always been the one in the back, observing as others made the decisions. Valeria was powerful. She had always been powerful, but she could not have borne the burden of her family's secrets herself. Perhaps this is how I could help her. Perhaps this was the way to finally gain the power that I needed to change things between us. You're talking about magic, aren't you? I said softly, my voice low as I realized. The man didn't deny it. He didn't need to. His eyes were a sufficient answer. The Montoya family has always been associated with dark forces, he went on, his voice becoming almost ironic. But there's more, Mateo. I can demonstrate to you how to access that power. You will not be just an outsider. You'll be someone they can't ignore. I clenched my fists. It was a powerful notion to be more, to stand next to Valeria so no one could crack it. But was it worth it? What was the cost? I don't trust you, I spat, the anger rising in my chest. The man chuckled softly. The sound was cold and calculating. You don't need to trust me. All you need to do is trust yourself. Trust that you want more. Believe that you will do anything to protect her. When Valeria was mentioned, I froze. The temptation was there, hooking into my skin. What do you expect in return? I inquired, my voice even, but my heart pounding. You'll see when the time comes, the man said, stepping back into the shadows. But you remember that, Mateo, power comes with a price, and sometimes the price is too high for you to pay. The words rang in my mind as he vanished into the darkness. I stood there for some long time. My head was a mess of confusion and temptation. The offer was too strong to turn down, but there was something in me that screamed that it was a trap. But what if it wasn't? What if this was the opportunity I had been looking for? I ran my hand through my hair, frustration mounting. I had to make a decision that might turn everything upside down. Should I trust this strange stranger, or was I about to commit the biggest mistake of my life? I looked at the far horizon where the moon barely shone through the clouds. What was the right thing to do? And if I chose this path, what would I lose? The face of Valeria appeared before my eyes. The way she had stared at me before, the pain in her eyes as she fought her family's secrets. Could this be how I could protect her? Or was I just preparing myself to become something darker, someone I didn't even know? The decision was a burden on me. I knew one thing. It was only a question of time before I had to make my move. Would I opt for power and all that went with it? Or perhaps I would remain faithful to Valeria, assuming the risk to lose it all. The question pierced me, and I stood there frozen. I was at a crossroads, and I didn't know which way to go. What if I made the wrong choice of path? Chapter 010. Ronaldo's POV. The weight of the world seemed to be crushing me down, tighter than I had ever felt. I had been wondering for the past few weeks how much more I could take. The more I thought about it, the more I came to the conclusion that I was losing myself. The darkness within me was seeping in. It wasn't only the rogue wolves or the increasing influence of Malik Blackthorn. It was something worse, something that was slowly eating me up. I had to protect my pack as the alpha. I had to protect them. But every move forward seemed like we were getting closer to something darker. The war that we were fighting wasn't just against the rogues or dark magic. It was a war in myself. The pressure to lead, to make the right choices, was suffocating. How could I protect my pack if I couldn't even protect myself from the shadows that were trying to take over? I was in the center of the pack's territory. The trees surrounding me were still as the wind rustled the leaves. The air was tense, something thick and heavy. I could sense it in my bones. The Underworld Council had their moment to act. The dreaded meeting I had been waiting for finally arrived. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. The Council was a dark power, a power that was more powerful than anything I could ever imagine. They weren't political. They were about control, about making the world do their bidding. I had been shunning them for years, but now there was no way out. A silhouette emerged from the shadows, and my heart missed a beat. It wasn't just anyone. It was someone I had hoped to never see again. The voice was low, smooth, and chilling. Ronaldo. It raised the hairs on the back of my neck. I looked around and saw Malik Blackthorn, the head of the rogue wolves, the one who had been planning all the time against us. You're late. Cut the games, Malik, I grumbled, my eyes squinting. Let's get this over with. Malik laughed darkly, his eyes flashing with amusement and something else darker. You were always a man of action. Unfortunately, that's going to get you killed. We stood opposite each other. The tension was tangible. But it wasn't only Malik that I had to deal with. Behind him, the rest of the council members were coming together, their eyes keen, their power a heavy weight in the air. They had arrived to make their offer. You've been avoiding us for too long, one of the council members said, advancing, her voice as cold as ice. But we are not here to play games anymore. The time for bargaining is over. I looked into her eyes, attempting to maintain my composure, but it was creeping in. What do you expect from me? We want you to come with us, she said with a smile as her lips curled. We know you're strong, Ronaldo. We know what you can do. Come with us, and we'll give you power that you never dreamed of. You'll be unstoppable. Your pack will thrive. I clenched my teeth, my fists clenched at my sides. The temptation was just under the surface. Power, control, everything I had ever wanted. But I knew the cost. It was always accompanied by a price. "I'll never join you," I spat, disgusted. "I am not going to be one of your pawns." The council leader's face did not change. "You misunderstand us, Alpha. This isn't about control. This is about survival." The rogue wolves start to become stronger. Malik's magic is spreading, and there is no way it will stop until everything you care about is destroyed. Your pack will fall, Reinaldo, and you will fall with it. The only way to save them is to come with us. My heart was beating in my chest. They were correct, in a sense. Malik's power was spreading. I had witnessed the destruction he had created, and I knew it was only going to get worse. The stakes were at their highest, and the council was forcing me to choose between the impossible. "We don't want to kill you, Reinaldo. We want to assist you," the head went on, and even the voice was nearly soft now. "We want you to join us. You are already battling the darkness inside you. Let us help you accept it." I felt the tug of her words. The darkness inside me was increasing day by day. I could sense it, the desire to give in, to cease resisting it. But at what cost? Would I lose myself? Would I turn into someone I didn't know? "What's the price?" I asked, my voice hoarse. The leader smiled, but it was not warm. "Everything. Your soul, your humanity. You will be a part of something bigger. The world will kneel before you." My stomach was queasy. My pack, Valeria. Everything I had fought for. Did I really want to throw it all away for power? Would I be able to protect them if I turned into them? Malik said, "Join us again," his voice like silk. "All you need to do is hold my hand." There I stood, immobilized by the weight of the decision that choked me. My pack's future was in danger. The darkness was increasing, and however much I resisted it, it was still there, just under the surface. "You have until midnight to decide," the leader said, her voice a whisper in the wind. "Join us, or face annihilation." The world seemed to be spinning. My thoughts were a messy mess of fear, anger, and confusion. How could I choose this? Could I trust these people? Would I lose myself in the process? I moved forward, my heart beating in my chest. This was it, the moment that would alter everything. When I extended to take the leader's hand, a flash of Valeria's face entered my mind. Her eyes filled with pain and confusion were burned into my memory. Would I be able to live with myself if I took this path? Could I ever look her in the eye again? The darkness within me spoke louder and urged me to take the step. But was it worth it? I hesitated. Did I really want to give up everything for power? Would I become a monster? Would I lose myself forever?